Hey guys, how's it going? It's LazyBeast here. So today I just wanted to talk a little bit about Elder Scrolls Online and World of Warcraft together. So I've been playing both games simultaneously now for quite a while, and there's some things that I've noticed that I think Elder Scrolls does a bit better than Warcraft. So before we get into it, I just want to get it out there. I do love both games. This is not me trying to slam one and big up the other. I just think it's worth noting these things as a form of constructive criticism, hopefully, and I'm really interested to see what you guys think and what your opinions are on these topics and see if you share the same opinions as me or not. So please do comment down below and I hope we can have some discussion about things. I don't want this video to be epically massive, so I'm going to try and keep things pretty concise, so let's just get stuck straight into it. There's about 7 things I want to get through. So the first one is teaching you the game. I think Elder Scrolls teaches you how to play the game better than Warcraft does currently. Warcraft obviously didn't used to do very well with this at all. It's got much better, but there's still things that it just leaves up to you, which is fine. Obviously, some people like that in an MMORPG, which is cool. But Elder Scrolls kind of does it in a way where it doesn't ram it down your throat. It just gives you little hints every now and then. Oh look, why don't you check this thing out? Here's how you can do that. And it leaves you to it. You can literally just skip through if you want to. So for example, with the Elder Scrolls leveling system, now that it's changed, what usually happens is when you level up, you get your attribute point, you get your skill point, you can put those in, that's standard. But then what it usually does is, say, it might give you an option of some crafting materials you can get. You might get a tailorer's box, a woodworking box, or a blacksmithing box. And then it'll tell you where to go and like what to do with those. So it'll be like, here's some leather, you can create gear with this. And then you can go and find the vendors, or as well, it can tell you about things such as veteran dungeons, like when you get up to that level, or it'll tell you about pledges and give you a little nod as to where to go, things like that. So you can literally just take the mats and leave. This is just one example, by the way. It's not going to ram a quest into your log that you have to then go and find and abandon, things like that. So it's not annoying, it's not intrusive, but it's there if you need it. And new players, I think, will really appreciate that because they might not know about certain things in the game because there's quite a lot to do. The game does this all the way as you level up to 50. So it's got new little things for you every time you level up or every other time. So it just steadily does it as you go through your adventure through Tamriel, which is pretty nice. A nice way of doing it rather than just everything being at the start or nothing at all. So I'll mention briefly crafting there, and that brings us to our second point. I think Elder Scrolls does crafting a lot better than Warcraft does, like miles better. Crafting in Elder Scrolls is like really accessible to anybody. The mats are just out there in the world. You don't necessarily need to go and do hard content such as mythic raiding, for example, to get certain mats or whatever. Sometimes the crafting in Warcraft can feel a little bit inaccessible to people who don't do raiding for that reason. For example, someone might not raid at all, and then they won't be able to get access to certain mats, so it completely shuts them out of that. It's the total opposite in Elder Scrolls. There's a lot of really casual players that actually love focusing just on crafting itself, and then providing people with decent gear that don't necessarily have the time to go and learn all the traits themselves because they want to do the hard dungeon content, for example, or the trials. It's a system that really makes you feel like you're progressing because it takes a hell of a long time. So initially when you start to unlock traits for items, it's a very in-depth system. If you're unlocking traits for items, it can take like 8 hours, and then when you're unlocking, like, say, the 9th trait on a particular item, it can take like 34 days roughly, for example. I don't know the exact time, so it takes a hell of a long time. So that's a lot of time to invest. It's passive. You can set the thing going and off it goes. But I mean, personally for me, the crafting in Warcraft, it seems like, so I'm an engineer on my main, so I'll just basically level that up just to get, for example, the goggles, and I'm still using things like nitro boosts and stuff back from a few expansions ago. That's literally all I use the expansion for. Whereas if I've got a crafting character in Elder Scrolls, which is obviously my main, which has unlocked quite a lot of crafting traits, etc. If I make a new character, then I know that I can make him a full set of gear, no matter whether he's going to be wearing heavy armour, medium armour, light armour, whatever it is, using staffs or a bow. I'm good to go. I can craft him a whole new set, so that profession is always useful, and it's not just useful to one character. So I think that's a massive bonus for Elder Scrolls. Now this next one is all about like gearing and the whole Gear Treadmill thing that Warcraft has going on. Now you might like the whole Gear Treadmill thing of, you know, you get a certain level of gear. If you have a break for a couple of months and you come back, your gear might now be rubbish. You might have to go and, like, you know, find the latest gear. That might appeal to you, that's fine. But I really prefer the Elder Scrolls level of doing it, because what happens there is you can get to level 50, whatever your CP is. Once you get to CP 160, and hopefully you know what I'm talking about, if you get gear after that, that's going to be good to keep you all the way up to CP 810. That your gear doesn't need to change. If you've got, you know, level 50 CP 160 gear, that's just the way it is forever. And you can make that purple, you can make that, let's just call it legendary, because that'll do for both games, and that'll stick with you. So as long as it's a decent set and you like it, and it's, you know, useful for what you're currently doing now, whether that's PvP, PvE, whatever, you're good to go, you can keep it. So you can literally quit the game for a year, come back, and that'll still be a good set to use. You won't have to think, oh man, I'm really underpowered now, I need to go out and farm the latest gear. It's just not that way. Of course, new gear does come out in Elder Scrolls Online, so when there's like a new trial released or there might be some new PvP gear brought out, you could just literally sit there with your current set of gear on, look at the traits and, you know, the 5-piece bonuses, etc. for the new sets and think, is that going to be better for me or not? If it isn't, you've literally cool, you can just stick with your current gear. You don't need to go and get that set. If it's something that you want, chances are it'll just be different. You might get more magic, or you might get a different 5-piece set bonus that might appeal to you. You know, it might give you more AoE damage if that's what you're after. You can go and get that, cool, and it's not going to take you, you know, 16 years to farm it. It's all good. Now the fourth thing on this, some people, if you've only ever played World of Warcraft, you might think, well, what the hell, this might be a weird concept, but literally this next one is Evergreen Content, right? So you get pledges in Elder Scrolls Online, and they are daily, they change daily, and they're random. You can get 3. So you usually get 2 that are from the pool of dungeons that have been there from the very beginning up to the current section now, and you get 1 that's from the latest DLC zone, roughly speaking. So you might think, what? You get a dungeon that's been out for like 5 years, which is how long Elder Scrolls has been out for now. So you think, why would you want to do a dungeon like that? That's like saying, so you're going to do Dead Mines. You're going to do Dead Mines on like Mythic, some like Mythic Dead Mines. Like, why would you want to go back and do Mythic Dead Mines? It would actually be a pretty good idea. But basically what I'm trying to say is people are still doing the dungeons and, you know, enjoying them that have been in there since the game released. Now obviously Warcraft has its own way of doing this, which is the time walking thing. But I don't know about you, but time walking doesn't personally feel that fun to me. It comes around every few weeks. It feels like something you have to do. You have to do the old, you have to do at least 1 dungeon to get your 500 coins, time walking coins to save up for mounts and stuff. And then you have to do 4, or is it 5 these days? I can't remember. 5 to get the heroic chest for the week. So for the weekly quest, it feels like something you have to do, and I don't particularly enjoy doing it. But with Elder Scrolls, the pledges I don't mind doing. You know, even if it takes you back to Fungal Grotto 1, which is like the first dungeon you can ever do, it's still nice. You can blitz through it. Obviously, you know the dungeon inside out, but it's not a chore. That seems to be the big difference. Like, I was really surprised when I went to playing Elder Scrolls Online properly, like, you know, doing trials and things, which are the raid equivalents, with my partner, and she was doing a trial that had been out for like 2 years, and I was thinking, what, like, why aren't people doing like the bang on current trial? Why are they going back to doing a trial from years ago? But it's still relevant, and you know, it was still challenging. It still provided a challenge to this day, and people were still dying on it. People were still even learning it. People hadn't been there before. It was interesting, and it seems that they really like hit the nail on the head when it comes to like difficulties, you know, the parameters of difficulty, like what the average player can achieve. It's not too far. There's not a huge gap between what the average player can do and stuff that the, you know, expert, like hardcore player can do. Like the average players, if, you know, a lot of focus and stuff, you can achieve that hardcore level, you know, do veteran hard mode dungeons. It just takes good coordination. It's not like you've got to spend ages, you know, grinding stuff just to get to the level to actually be able to do that. Swiftly moving on into the next point, which is character freedom. So basically in Elder Scrolls Online, you aren't forced into cookie cutter specs for like 95% of the content. You really genuinely are free to mix and match your character abilities and sets and things, and you won't feel awful as a result. Yes, of course you can specifically try to mess your character up and make it, you know, absolutely crap, doable, but you can use pretty much any abilities. You know, you can be a DPS and you can slot a couple of heals on your bar, go into a dungeon. Yes, obviously the dungeon will be a little bit slower because you're not going full DPS, but people probably won't be bothered because people won't be dying. So, you know, you can do whatever you want. The builds, like obviously with Warcraft, you've got Icy Veins and stuff. People generally go to that to figure out what build they should be playing and things like that, and that's fine, that's cool, it'll give you a rotation, all that business. You know, the average player kind of needs that to keep going. which is cool. And for Elder Scrolls Online, there's people such as Alcast that'll give you builds and full setups of everything, you know, to make a build really work and make you push yourself, you know, whether that's DPS, tanking, healing, whatever role you're playing. But you don't need to do this. And even like the builds, like if you look at Alcast's builds on his website, he'll very often say things like, these are the sets you should use for the best options, but there's like 10 other sets you can choose from if you want to, if you prefer that kind of playstyle. So it doesn't really lock you in hardcore like Warcraft does. The last one as well is just kind of like a general point about the world of Elder Scrolls and the storytelling and things like the quests. The quests in Elder Scrolls Online absolutely wipe the floor with the quests in Warcraft. Like World of Warcraft, you get the occasional cool quest, you know, like a big quest, like going into Nazjatar, things like that, that's going to be coming up and things. They're all cool quests when you're discovering new stuff, but then the quests after that, the dailies, the world quests, you know, most of the quests when you're leveling up, they're just bland. Like when in Elder Scrolls, it's probably the best questing experience I've ever had in an MMO, and I've played quite a few. They're my thing. So the storytelling, the fact that like every single character is voice acted, there's not one person you click on and it's just text. There's random little events going on in the game all the time, like, you know, Daedra spawning, or summoners trying to summon something, or like a merchant being robbed. There's all these things going on. The world, I know it's a cliche thing, but the world feels alive. It doesn't seem lifeless, and neither do the characters, so that just really, really builds up this whole MMORPG feel, you know, when you're going out there. It's just so much better than the Warcraft world, which is a shame. So there's like 6 things that Warcraft just does better than Warcraft. It is completely my opinion. You may disagree, you may absolutely hate me for what I've just said, but it's out there. Please do comment though. I honestly want to know what you guys think, and if you agree or disagree, please let me know in the comments. So, you know, to close this kind of thing up, I just think like because of these things, the way that Elder Scrolls is, I do genuinely think the community there is a lot better. It's more tolerant. You know, I've had many times when I've been in a dungeon and people have been wiping, but the guys in there, the tanks and things, they're actually happy to sit there and explain to the newcomers, get on the voice chat if they can, if they've both got the option, and just be patient. Or people, you know, like if someone in a guild says, oh, do you know, I need some mats for this, I need to make a potion for this quest, people will just be like, sent, done, not even a question. It's just people are a lot more easygoing, it seems. People are just more willing to help people out. There's not this whole like me, I need to improve me, screw you approach that happens with a lot of people in Warcraft. And I know that's a very general assumption to make, but we've all been there. So I'm really glad that like Elder Scrolls has blossomed into the game it is today. Like I played it in the beginning when it was just on PC, and it was good, but it definitely had a lot of room for improvement, and all my days has it improved. I'm really happy that it's grown a lot in popularity recently, and like elsewhere is great. The fact they've got necromancers and things now, and dragons, you can't beat dragons. So yeah, there we go guys, there's my thoughts. Please do let me know what you think in the comments, and I've been LaserBeast, take it easy, and I'll catch you next time.